Welcome to the United We Scan podcast, the podcast by rural carriers for rural carriers. The views expressed in this podcast are of the presenters and the presenters only and do not represent the views, opinions, or strategies of the United States Postal Service or the National Rural Letter Carriers Association. We ask that you please consult your assigned union representative for guidance in your local area. Please like this podcast, share with your fellow rural carriers, and subscribe to be notified each time a new episode is uploaded. Please leave a comment or question for us below. Thank you. Now, here are the hosts of the United We Scan podcast.
And welcome back, everybody. Episode 107. As stated last week, we are going to go over the RRECS activity scans again today. I know my background looks a little different. I am actually visiting my parents this weekend, so my childhood bedroom for everybody that watches this. So, on that note, we're going to make this quick. How was your week, James?
Well, pretty normal week for the post office. Of course, lower packages. UPS and Amazon were quite light this week. But did have a nice 45-minute conversation with the new postmaster, kind of feeling him out, seeing where he stands on things and stuff like that. But other than that, it was just, the standard fare for a rural carrier. I mean, after having 3 weeks of having a day off in the middle of the week, it was different to go back for a straight 5 days. But how was your week, Bill?
It was fun. I had lots of things not to do. I didn't do them, so therefore I have lots of things not to do, left to do, that I won't do. How was your week, Kristen?
Mine wasn't bad. I ran my route on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. I trained a new RCA. Friday ended up, we were going to go out on the route one more time because he was on his own yesterday. I do not know how that went, as I was not there. I traveled 4 hours to my parents' house, as I said there. But Friday, we went to go start the LLV to go out, and it would not start. We tried starter fluid. We noticed it was getting gas, because luckily this brand new RCA is a car guy. And so they let the regular know that when he got back, he'd have to take the other half of the route out. And we went back into the break room for about, 2 hours or so and went through the OJT book and the check sheet and had sample forms explaining everything. So it was a good day to really just go through all the little stuff that we may not have seen while we were out on the route for the previous 3 days. So other than that, my week wasn't bad, and decided last minute to come down and pay my parents a visit, Ruby and Little Man. So we didn't even tell them. Ruby called him when we got off the exit to the highway. I said, keep her talking for 3 miles. And she's like, okay. She goes, well, Grandma, I'm going to let you go because we're getting ready to pull into your driveway. She's like, what? So, yep, other than that, it wasn't too bad. It's going to be cold this next week, though. I'm not looking forward to Tuesday, 7 degrees high for myself. And we have another RCA training, and since my sub is the other trainer in the office, well, he can have fun riding in the LLV with single-digit attempts this week training that RCA. I'll be happy to run my route. We'll see how that goes. But other than that, guys, a few things you wanted to touch on first, James, before we dive into the activities RRECS scans?
Well, we are coming up on a mini mail survey.
We are.
So that's
When?
That's the big discussion going on right now. And what are the dates, Kristen?
February 22nd through March 7th.
So about this time is when we start measuring the distances for everything that you do during your office time, your office walk distances. And the biggest things that you got to make sure you do is you make sure that you're getting the proper footage for everything on your office duties. And it starts immediately with your scanner storage area. from the point where you retrieve your scanner to the point where the carrier stands when casing mail. So that means you're in your case, facing your desk right there. That is where you are measuring this footage to. Now, I do know there are offices where you have long walk distances to your locker and things. When you come in that building, you are there to pick up your scanner. First thing. So if you have to go to a locker room to hang up your coat before you go to your case,
James, we lost your sound.
uh-oh, is it back?
Now you are. Yep.
I don't know why, but okay. What did you miss? Where did I stop off?
If you have to go to a locker room to hang up your coat.
If you have to go to a locker room to hang up your coat on your way to your case, measure to there, because you're going to have to hang your coat somewhere else in some offices, especially like S&DCs and places where they're micromanaging the hell out of you.
Now, they may... Now, if you're going to do that, they may say you're not going to clock into you're ready for work, so they may have you come in and hang your coat up first and then go to retrieve your scanner.
Good point.
That's a good point. But if they're not allowing you to have your coat at the scanner and you're spending that time in the office to hang up your coat, you should be getting paid to hang up your coat in a place other than by your workstation.
Well, and honest, for your scanner storage area, you're measuring from your case to the scanner and back to your case.
No, if you actually look, I just sent it in the chat. It says from the point where the carrier stands when retrieving the scanner to the point where the carrier stands when casing mail. Because it's like you walked in the door, grabbed your scanner, and now you're going to do your stuff.
Yeah, that one is going to be depending on it's going to depend on where the scanner storage is per office. You got to think about that. Mine, you walk in the door, scanners are right there to your left.
Yep.
And then
mine are right in between, right in between where the trucks bring the stuff in and where the carriers walk out to the trucks in my office, and it's right there just inside the doors. But each office is going to be different, but that's what it says in the instructions.
Yeah, and it's one way. It's from scanner dock to the case.
Right. And, don't get caught up by the old heads who still follow the nearest edge of your case to wherever. It's to the center of your case where you case your mail.
Yes.
So, it's only 3-4 feet maybe, but hey, every foot counts.
And a reminder that these should be measured in the favor of the carrier. So if you go let's say 31.1 feet, they should give you 32 feet. It shouldn't be, it's 0.1, so it should be 31. They should make it beneficial to the carrier. The managers won't, but...
Round up, not down.
Yes. The second one you're going to do is to the raw letter and flat distribution case. And this is from where you're casing the mail, so literally where you just ended measurement from the scanners to where you pick up your clerk sorted letters and flats. And whichever one of those is furthest is the one you get. And if you take a cart to go get this stuff, like let's say you get a lot of raw mail and you have to take a little buggy with you to go get the mail, the distance to get that buggy is also included in this measurement.
And that's from where you stand in the case to case mail to there and back. And that one is a round trip.
And the next one is from where you case, where your DPS letters are distributed. Now in my office, we have APCs that have shelving units in them for the DPS. Other offices may have different methods for where your DPS is set up for that. But to measure from your case where your DPS is and back, and the same thing applies if you have a cart that you take over there, the distance to and to that cart, and to put the cart back.
And that's if you are a withdrawal office. You got to remember that. If you're not a withdrawal office and all your mail is brought to you, you don't have certain walk distances.
Yes. If it's brought to you, you don't get the measurement for it. But if anything is withdrawn, whether it is just the DPS, whether it's just the letters, or it's just the flats, or it's just your bundled flats, you are a withdrawal office. It is all or nothing, even if you only do one.
Yep.
The next one is the carrier's parcel hamper. Again, from where you case the mail to where the carrier normally gets their parcel hamper. And it's where you grasp the handle to transport it to your case. So if you have to walk around the other cases to get behind the parcel hamper to push it, that is the distance you measure. Not just up to where your case is parked and you have to pull it out from wherever it is. If you walk around every day to go get it, you need to measure that distance and then measure it all the way back to your case.
Or like our case at the SC&C, you do your main hamper, which is off the sorting line, and then go to the bullpen. And the fact of the matter is that when you're unloading, because our bullpen hampers are locked together, so we can't pull them to our case. So any time that you spend in the bullpen has to be timed when you're unloading from the bullpen hamper into your hamper for conveyance back to your case.
And in that instance, you should be measured from your case to where you get your conveyance hamper to where you withdraw it back to your case. Where you pull the parcels out of that bullpen into your hamper, then back to the case. The next one, number 6, is from your carrier case to the assigned location or typical location of your government vehicle. This does not apply to POV routes. POV routes, you're supposed to take care of your vehicle off duty, off the clock, on your own time. But for government vehicles, we are required to go out and inspect them. Every time you open up the scanner, it asks if you've done the inspection of your vehicle. You are agreeing that you have inspected your vehicle on that scanner. So this measures from your case to where you open the driver's door of the vehicle and back to your case. Now, this one, there are arguments on both sides of this, but you should be coming out to the vehicle and doing a loop around the vehicle to do a visual inspection before you open the door of the truck, looking for things like oil leaks, flat tires, missing pieces from the truck, mirrors, bumpers, lights, things like that, before you even open that door. Management will argue that you just walk to the door, that's it. Get the footage that you deserve. And the next one is from the point where the carrier stands when casing the mail to the CFS markup, 3M, and centralized hold mail area. And make sure that you're getting the farthest distance to there. Yes. Yep. Whichever one is furthest from you is the one you get. The next one is from where you stand to the accountables distribution point, where they give you the accountables, your registered mail, your express, stuff like that.
Arrow keys.
anything that's pertinent that has accountability to it, your stamp stock, things like that.
Now, offices are different, James. Like in our office, they call us over to get our arrow keys. So, we don't see accountables anymore. I mean, you never sign for them at all. They just show up on your case, and your DPS. It's just a fiasco. I mean, for such an organized system, it sucks.
Well, they're saying that certifieds are not accountable anymore. That we don't, because they run through the DPS. They're tracked that way. They're accountable in the DPS, but registered. Those very important ones where people pay a crap ton of money to get there. I mean, Express especially is a big one, but stuff like that. If they bring them to you, you get the distance. Like somebody said in the thing, you get the distance from your casing point out to where the clerk or manager comes by and brings the accountable to you. It could be 5 feet from your case, but you still get that footage.
Yeah, postage dues, any CODs. Yeah.
Yep. We've had CODs for parcels. They're an accountable item. Next one is from where you case to your hot case, unless you do it during load time. Which I don't know of anybody that does pick up their hot case during load time, but it's listed on there, so I'm putting it out there because obviously there's probably 10% of carriers that may do that. But we know that anything less than 30% is important to certain people. Not 66%. The next one is from where you case to obtain additional pieces of equipment, rolling stock like carts and things like that, prior to loading. And it only applies if you need to use an additional piece of equipment for loading. For like my office, we keep all of our steels or U-carts, whatever you want to call them, over in one spot because we have a limited number of them. So we would measure to where those carts are to bring them back to our case to load our packages. And I will tell you that those are the best thing for loading parcels out of any other piece of equipment we have, because you can just slide them and they're almost level with the back of the LOV from the sidewalk. But other people may have other conveyances that they prefer, but I prefer my steel. You have from the point where you stand when you're casing to the point where excess trays and tubs are stored after the mail has been loaded for conveyance to the vehicle. So if you take your DPS and case it, or you flip-flop it into a different half tray or something like that, the location where you put those trays after you're done with them is where you measure to. You go for the farthest distance. So if they have the trays in one spot and the tubs on the other side of the building and the tubs are the furthest thing, you measure to where the tubs are. The next one is from the point where the carrier stands when casing mail to the designated safety service talk location. So this one I have in my office. We don't measure to where we stand for the oral service talks. We measure where we stand for the videos, which is at the supervisor's desk, which is way further away than where we stand for a standard service talk, which is at our buggies where they sort our parcels. That's in the center of the building, basically. But we measure from our case to the supervisor's desk because we go over there for videos sometimes.
Preempted by little man.
And anything you do outside of that for walking distances or something like that, that would have to be under miscellaneous time if it's not on this list. There's little man.
There he is.
Somebody else woke up too. Hi, Mama. I'm gonna just headbutt Grandma here.
Yeah, there he is, just for you.
So make sure you're going through these distances with your manager or supervisor or postmaster, something like that. The other thing I wanted to talk about is the distance for CBUs and centralized boxes. So there's been confusion over the centralized and CBU measuring that they're supposed to do. What you're supposed to do is measure from where you park the truck to the first CBU in the mail stop, across all the CBUs, and then back to your truck. That is considered one dismount of that CBU rack. If you have multiple CBUs in there, you're going to be walking back and forth with mail sometime. I know some carriers bring out a little cart for them to carry the mail over there so they don't have to keep going back to the truck, stuff like that. Or some managers give you a satchel. If you're doing it that way, you need to have miscellaneous time to load that cart up or load that satchel up at each stop. Otherwise, you're doing it by hand and getting those extra authorized dismounts.
That's a good point because we are required to use a satchel. A lot of people don't realize that we can be required to use that satchel. If you do, make sure you get time for loading the satchel, retrieving the satchel, and then loading the satchel.
Yes, retrieving it, putting it on, and loading it. And taking it off. Let's not forget that, too, and putting it back.
Yep.
There's even more than that. There's even more than that because there are no measurements to go retrieve that satchel in the morning. You need miscellaneous time to go retrieve it from where it is stored in the building. A miscellaneous time after when you go to load your vehicle, you are to load that satchel for your first stop on start load vehicle. You have everything organized for it. You start load vehicle, you load your first stop into that satchel while on that load vehicle time, put it on your conveyance, take it out to the vehicle. Then when you get to your first stop, miscellaneous time to put it on, go and stop the clock after you get out of the truck, go do your loading, your emptying of your satchel. When you get back to the door of the truck, start the clock. As you take the satchel off, store it where it's in a safe location where it won't fly around the cab, then stop the clock. Then when you get to your next stop, start the clock, load the satchel, get out of the truck, put the satchel on, stop the clock. Same process continues to repeat itself throughout the day. That is your miscellaneous time for using the satchel. Anything else on the email survey you guys want to talk about this week? Because I think we'll do another episode on the specifics of the mini mail survey closer to the time of it.
Yeah,
you guys agree with that?
We'll probably cover the walk distances again too. Just we wanted to put that out there. There's been a lot of rumblings about it lately, so. But we'll get started in on this RRECS activities guide. And under the daily activities on the first section, so this was the newest one that came out on 5/31 of 2024. So under the daily activities, these are your 6 absolutely you better do them every single day scans. Plain and simple. And as we all know, when this all first started, that's what management pushed was the 6 scans. That's what some management still is pushing is the 6 scans. They don't tell you about the rest of them. We're going to tell you about the rest of them as well. So, number 1, obviously, is clock in. Select clock in upon arriving at work, immediately retrieve and log into the scanner. The clock-in selection records the start of the workday for the carrier. The clock-in times the time that you record as your start time on your 4240. Start load. Select start load when moving loaded conveyance from work area to begin loading vehicle for delivery. Carriers may have multiple start load selections in a day if additional trips to load are required. Ensure this keystroke is followed by end load once loading is complete. There is no change to previously established loading procedures. If your parcels are sorted to the floor at your case, and you have to pick them up off the floor and load them onto your conveyance, that is when you would start your start load for that. Putting them up off the floor onto your conveyance is starting your start load in those situations. Not everybody does, not all offices do that. Not all routes do that. We have one route that does it in our office for their Amazon specifically. The rest of us are thrown in our pumpkins. So.
And there's more. There's more. So one of the things a lot of carriers are doing now is the load truck feature. Mm-hmm. It is still optional for carriers who are on evaluation. It's still optional. But if you are using load truck when you are out loading your vehicle, especially with the cold temperatures coming in this week, you can sort your parcels with the load truck feature like you are throwing them in the truck inside the building. Management will argue otherwise. You just ask them, what's the difference of me doing it this way here versus me doing it outside at the truck, other than the air temperature that I'm working in? If you're just sorting them, so like for me, I put 6 tubs down on the floor and I sort my parcels into those 6 tubs, which almost coincidentally match up with the section numbers on the load truck feature. So I could sit there and as I'm sorting the parcels, be scanning them with the load truck feature under start load vehicle inside the building. But remember, carrier discretion. If you want to fight that battle, that's something you could do. Because you're going to do the same thing out at the truck, you can do it inside in the warmth of the building.
Yes. And if when you hit start load, the screen will automatically revert to end load. However, if you hit escape, the only 2 options that you're going to have under start load is end load and the load truck feature.
RRECS activities and the load truck feature.
Yeah.
Oh, you can use load truck during start load vehicle. It's the only option you have. Mm-hmm. Because you're on a timed event, they decided that it was important for them to remove any other inputs on the scanner to prevent you from doing anything else other than loading your vehicle.
Yep. And then, of course, your end load vehicle, which is the next one. And obviously, you're going to select end load when returning empty conveyance to designated location. After vehicle loading is complete, carrier may have multiple end load selections in a day if additional trips to load are required. So you can have multiple start loads and end loads. All right, the next one, depart to route. I definitely need new glasses. Select depart to route.
Most commonly forgotten one.
Select depart
it is.
Yeah, it can be for some. Select depart to route when starting the vehicle to depart delivery unit to service route. The depart to route selection begins the route delivery time. So, when you start the vehicle, you hit depart to route. Plain and simple.
Unless you're warming up the vehicle. When
you're leaving to leave for the route, you hit depart to route. Return.
Yeah, you guys have the barcode for that, Kristen?
What?
You have barcodes outside. You have barcodes at your office for depart the route so that you can enter
EMF.
mileage on the GOV?
We do have one. There is a set primarily for the city carriers. On the side of the door as you're walking out to the trucks, and then there's one next to the door as you're walking back into the office for a return to unit. Most of the rural trucks, with a couple of exceptions, have the barcode stickers inside the trucks, both of them. A couple of our trucks only have the return to DU, and I did notice having to drive the city route truck a few days when mine was at the shop. They didn't have the depart to route, but they had the return to unit scan in there.
But those barcodes are not for RRECS. They are for DMF.
Yes.
EMF, yeah.
And those are only
I don't think we're
government
saying-
vehicles. That's not for
Government.
POV drivers, only for government vehicles. All right, return to DU. After returning to the office, stopping the vehicle by turning off the key after all route delivery is complete, this begins the timing of end of shift duties.
This is a big one for a lot of reasons.
Yes, it is. You park your truck where you park it, and you hit your end of shift duties. Now, if you unload your truck in a different spot from where it is parked, you're going to hit that return to unit prior to unloading your truck. You're going to hit the return to unit when you park it where you unload it, and then you're returning that vehicle to where it goes upon unloading it is all done under end of shift. In those cases. In my office, it is not. We're parked at the same spot where we load and unload. So, and then,
you want to make sure you are doing all of your end of shift duties. It has been spread around Facebook quite extensively on what the end of shift duties are, but there is an entire list of end of shift duties on a single sheet of paper that's going around. Every single one of those on that sheet comes directly out of the PO 603, except the DPM and LTM updating, because that is newer than the latest version of the PO 603, which was updated in 2011, I believe.
13.
And 2013, well, still before RRECS was actually fully conceived.
Mm-hmm.
So we got to make sure that you are doing all of these tasks on return to DU before you hit PM casing or clock out. You've got to do these duties. It adds time to your route. Return to DU is a timed event. This goes for everybody. It doesn't matter if you are a regular carrier, a PTF, an RCA, or an ARC running Saturdays delivering the mail, which is a possibility out there. You've got to do every single one of these and every one of these duties, because that is money in your pocket. Bill said it before. What goes in the scanner goes where, Bill?
In the wallet.
Exactly. It goes into your wallet. So if you're not putting it in the scanner, it's not going in your wallet. The routes. Don't push to go to other routes. And guess what? Carriers that are taking another route with them are only hurting the route evaluations doing that.
Mm-hmm.
And when they hurt the route evaluations, they hurt themselves.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard to explain that to them, but, if you beat them enough, they catch on.
And what we mean by that is, if especially for subs or even the regulars who are still helping out under MOUs with additional routes and duties, is do the end of shift duties, all of the end of shift duties that you need to do that day for that particular main route, whether you're a regular for your assigned route, if you're a sub running a primary or something else on the matrix, or a PTF running one of them on your string or whatever, that main route that you are doing, the complete route of, you're going to complete the call and end of shift duties prior to doing the additional work. All right. And then under the 6 main ones also is the clock out. You're going to clock out upon returning the scanner to the cradle and departing the delivery unit for the day after all work activities are complete. Between the return to DU and the clock out, if you want to see what your RRECS activity scan summary was for the day, that's when that option will be available. Under the return to route, you'll have that activity summary. So, clocking out is when you're leaving for the day, obviously. Those are the 6 main ones that you have to do every single day. Your clock out, your start load, your end load, your depart to route, return to delivery unit, and your clock out. All right, your additional activities. If you take a lunch, you have your out to lunch, return to lunch. Remember, lunch, you can do these more than once. So you have up to 30 minutes available on the rural side. If you take 10 minutes here for one cigarette, you take 10 minutes later for another one. You can break that up as long as it adds up to 30 minutes. And no, you are not required to take a lunch break. That has been another hot topic. And if management is docking you and putting down a 30-minute lunch and you didn't take one, there's a form for that. So, on that note, that is falsifying time. We are not required to take a lunch. If you are taking a lunch or taking a break, smoke break, a quick, you're going to stop on the side of the road to eat a sandwich, that's considered a break. If you are stopping somewhere to use the restroom is not a lunch break. Stopping on a safe place aside to reload, move your parcels around is not a break.
That's reload.
And that's supposed to be built in based on your volume. So as a test study office, we used to have a reload scan back when we were still testing.
Yep. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, Bill remembers that one. All right. Start deviation and end deviation. I'm going to do these two together just for the fact that they go hand in hand. And this is only for Priority Mail Express. Expresses only. In those rare circumstances, especially with some of these overburdened routes still, if that express is you're not going to get there by 6 p.m., then this is where you would use the start deviation and end deviation. Upon leaving the official line of travel to deliver Priority Mail Express, this is used only when required to deviate to make committed delivery time for Priority Mail Express. No other types of deviation are covered under this selection. Again, it's a 6 p.m. cutoff now for all expresses, unlike in the past. So situations may vary when it comes to if it's going to have to be used, depending on the route and the day and everything else. Upon returning to the official line of travel from delivering a Priority Mail Express, this is used only when required to deviate to make a committed delivery time for Priority Mail Express. No other types of deviation are covered under this selection. All right.
And this,
go ahead.
That means specifically you are leaving the very mailbox you are at, and that start deviation starts as soon as you are done with that box and before you start heading to your express delivery location. Or you're going to the office to go get the express, although you shouldn't be answering your phone on the route, and they should not be sending you a scanner message to get it. We can file grievances on both of those. They don't pay your cell phone bill. You're not required to answer it. Text messaging is not a proper form of communication, and sending you a scanner message is only in emergency situations. And management's lack of preparation is not your emergency. So it should only be if you have to, if management brings it out to you, that's perfectly fine. You have to go back to an address that's behind you, that is a deviation. If you have to go ahead of your route to deliver it before 6 p.m., that is a deviation. And until you return to that mailbox you left, do not hit that end deviation. Once you return to that mailbox and stop the truck, you hit end deviation, continue delivering your route.
All right. PM casing. I wish they changed the name of this one at this point. Make it interesting.
There are still offices that do PM casing.
Yes, there is. Use after completion of all other end of shift duties before beginning to case mail for the next delivery day. May also be used if directed to perform additional trips after completion of end of shift duties. Record second trips as done on the day on the 4240.
Can you read that very first part of that again?
Use
and say it louder for those in the back.
Use after after completion of all other end of shift duties before beginning to case mail. Or you're also going to use PM casing if you are assisting on other routes. RCAs, PTFs, and regulars under the current MOU.
That volunteer,
yes. When you complete your end of shift duties for that main primary route that you're running that day, the whole route, once that is done, you're going to hit PM casing and then move to the next one.
Yeah, and you don't, and for RCAs and PTFs, you can clock out because you're going on green card time. Mm-hmm. You don't have to be on PM casing. Just regulars have to use PM casing because our time on our 4240, which the scanner is creating an electronic 4240, has to be that entire time because they're actually tracking your work hours, even that overtime you make on those routes.
All right, we have our saturation sets. This is our WSSs and our box holders. The flats WSS. Little man's talking to us back there. If a flat saturation mailing has an address and has not been processed on automation equipment, use this keystroke once to record each set. Select either 1, residents only, or 2, all deliveries. If cased the afternoon before the delivery day, record on the If cased the afternoon before the delivery day, record on the delivery day. Okay, so if you have a box holder that came in the night before and or a flat WSS, we're talking about WSS right now, and it's there, and they're going to allow you to use PM casing to case that up prior to you leaving, you are not going to record it under the flats WSS until the day you're delivering it, the following morning.
Credit it when you deliver it.
Mm-hmm. A set delivered over several days should be recorded only once. On first day of delivery, only one entry is required per set. So if they allow you to split it that day and finish the next day, you're only going to record it on that first day. Or in my case, when I had a box holder, I'm going to jump to that in a minute, last week, I had half of it show up one day, the other half showed up the next day. I only recorded on the first day.
Speaking of half and half, Kristen, This one's for our parent-child routes out there. Let's say you get the box holder for one zip code that one day, You get the same box holder for the other zip code the next day. How do you record that?
It's one recording because it goes for the whole route. You record it the first day you deliver.
And then if you get one for just one zip code but don't get one for the other?
You record it once and your whole route gets credit for it.
Exactly.
Letters WSS. If a saturation mailing has an address and if a letter saturating mailing has an address and has not been processed on automation equipment, which means it's not coming in your DPS, use this keystroke once to record each set. Select either 1, residents only, or 2, all deliveries. If case, the afternoon before the delivery day, record on delivery day. A set delivered over several days should be recorded only once. On the first day of delivery, only one entry required per set. So that's your WSS. Flats, box holders. If a flat saturation mailing does not have an address, use this keystroke once to record each set of box holders. Select either 1, residents only, or 2, all deliveries. If case the afternoon before the delivery day, record on the delivery day. A set delivered over several days should be recorded only once. On the first day of delivery, only one entry is required per set. Letter box holders the same. If a letter saturation mailing does not have an address, use the keystroke once, and I'm not going to repeat that again for the 4th time, the rest of it.
Thank you.
WSS has an address. It is not in your DPS. Box holders do not have an address and usually are not in your DPS, though I have seen postal customer in the DPS, but it's rare.
Now you have to remember, a box holder will still sometimes say ECR WSS. That does not mean you enter the WSS version. It has to have an address or doesn't have an address. If it doesn't, box holder. If it does, WSS. Oh, you were freaking out over there, having a seizure.
Oh, no. If it says WSS, I should put it in as WSS. And then when I get caught, I can sit there and say, well, it said WSS on there.
But
Right?
it says specifically in the scan guide, if it has
I
an
didn't read
address.
that. I'm ignorant. I didn't spend any time reading the guide.
And leave replacements. And you're running a route that gets a WSS or a box holder, please put those scans in. Now, once we complete this,
Bill?
I'm going to talk a little bit more about leave replacements with these. So go ahead, Bill. I saw that.
Bill, one more thing. The argument you could have on that is, when did management train me on that scan?
Exactly. And I'll say, and show me where you documented that training.
Mm-hmm. Anyway, continue.
That should be in our Form 50 somewhere, shouldn't it?
In our training on the light blue.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You can't prove I was potty trained.
Okay. Trip to door. This is under your delivery activities. Trip to door. Use trip to door when you have 2 or more trips are required to deliver or collect parcels or items to or from the customer. The first trip is automatically credited based on the delivery scans to that address. Only if additional trips are required to use trip to door, enter the total number of trips. Initial trip plus a number of additional trips to the delivery location. This does not include authorized dismount locations. So what this is saying is somebody orders 8 mattresses. And obviously you can't carry more than 1 mattress at a time.
Sounds like you're speaking from experience.
I believe she is.
Yeah, You carry one mattress up to the door. You go back to you scan it at the door. You go back to the truck. You retrieve the next parcel. You go back up to the door. You scan it at the door. So, however many trips it takes you to complete, and you scan each parcel at the door when you get it to the door the first time, please. And back and forth. So if it takes you 8 trips, when you get back to the truck, from completing your delivery scan, you're going to go into R9, trip to door, and you're going to hit 8 for 8 trips to the door if that's what it took you, or 2 trips, or 3 trips, or whatever it is. Why do we scan the parcel at the door? Because it pinpoints it, and that will cover your behind. Trust me. I tell every leave replacement that I train, scan it where you stand. I mean, I know they talk about it a little bit in Academy, but this is a shout out to every carrier out there. Scan it where you leave it. Why? Because if a customer calls and says they did not get it, management can pull it up and say, it was scanned at your door, and you can see exactly where you scanned it at. It covered my butt one time. I was still a sub. I scanned that package at the door where I delivered it. Customers called later, said they never received it. Pulled it right up. They looked. They said, yeah, it was scanned right at the door.
And that also can prevent management saying you could have stolen the package. Because if you scanned it in the truck, there's a possibility you kept it in the truck and took it home with you when you got back to the office. You don't want to give management that ability to make up a story like that.
Mm-hmm.
The less chances management has of finding some loophole to bury you with, the better off you are.
Yep, exactly. That's why, it's a lot of preached on scan where you stand, where you drop it, because it's going to, basically, that's a big CYA. In all honesty, it is. And from personal experience, that's a big CYA.
I have actually a problem with the wording they put on that trip to door, but I'll do it after you do the next one.
Well, I want to talk just a quick, this also goes for customer pickups. If you have to make more than one trip to the door for a customer pickup, you're going to enter in how many trips to the door it took you.
That's the one I have a problem with, so go ahead on to the next one.
All right, door miscellaneous. Use door miscellaneous only. All right, miscellaneous. I'm sorry. I pronounced the C. I gave it a hard C. I've already gotten crud for that in the past. Bill's laughing at me.
That's why we're laughing.
Yep. Ruby's giving me a thumbs down. Thanks.
For so long, you know?
I know.
You've done it for so many years.
All right, the door miss. Bill's got a tissue. He's laughing so hard, guys. If you're not watching us, you can watch us on YouTube and Spotify. But all right, door miscellaneous. Use door miscellaneous only after delivering hold mail, letters, and flats that will not fit into the mailbox or postal supplies requested by customer. That's what it says.
Mm-hmm.
If you have to take the mail to the door because it's too much to fit in the box from a hold, or if you are delivering postal supplies that they requested that comes from your clerks, there's a printout sheet, they bring you a box, an envelope, or whatever, that's what they're saying you're supposed to be using under door miscellaneous. Or taking tubs for a carrier pickup as well. Yes.
Yep. And the thing about it for me is when you do a carrier pickup, let's say you have nothing else to deliver to this house. You're doing a carrier pickup. You only have to one trip to the door. You don't use trip to door because if you put one in the trip to door, it deletes it. Because the first trip to door is included in your trip to door, and the system automatically removes one. So you would have to put 2 in the trip to door, which would be falsifying it. Me personally, I use the door miscellaneous for one trip because guess what? I'm only doing one trip to the door, and it's for something that is not a delivery that would be covered under trip to door. And so that's where my confusion lies in that specific thing because I want that credit for going to that door one time, and trip to door automatically removes a credit per the 99-page guide.
Now, also, with permission from my management, as I'm waiting on the hardship paperwork to go through on my new one, and knowing that it is very difficult for her to get to her mailbox, I do, if it hasn't been picked up, I will collect the mail and I will go to her door to give her her mail right now until it becomes an official hardship, and I will put in a door miscellaneous. So I am getting that credit for going to that door. And yes, my management is aware of it. And it is okay at this time. All right. Now we're going to go into authorized dismount. This is another one that gets...
You just talked about one. You just talked about one.
Yes, but it's not an official hardship, so it's still...
Yes, but it will be eventually.
Authorized dismount. You're going to use authorized dismount when 2 or more trips are required to complete delivery at an authorized dismount location. Only applies to authorized dismount locations designated in Delivery Point Manager in your DPM, such as businesses, schools, central delivery, including parcel lockers, etc. If you are having to dismount for a hardship, that is an authorized dismount. If they went on an ordering spree and you're delivering, it's going to take more than one trip to deliver everything. Or for a pickup at an authorized dismount location too. So if you have businesses that don't have a curbside box, that you have to go in and deliver the mail. I know I had a school, my old office, that was an authorized dismount. We had to go in, buzz in, drop their mail off, grab their outgoing, and come and then return. Centralized units, whether they're CBUs, standalone CBUs, centralized boxes, and this includes going for your parcel lockers if it is taking you more than one trip. Now you will have management if it is taking you 3, 4, 5, 10, 12 trips a day. Management does have the right to go in and double or triple your footage to accommodate that. Now, if they do go in and they double your footage for that dismount that you've had a lot of authorized dismounts on, so now it's been doubled. So if you're doing more than what you already have measurement for, then that would still apply. So if you're measured out and doubled for 2 trips on a daily basis under your measurements, and it takes you 3 or 4, that's where you're going to go in and say it took those additional trips. I hope that makes sense.
And on top, and you got to think this, especially with the CBU units. We've got all these places that are putting in a giant cluster of all of these CBUs.
Mm-hmm.
And I've seen a picture where there's one place that has 100 of them in a row for a giant neighborhood. And you're going in there and you're going around this entire thing, you're going to have to go back to the truck for more mail. It doesn't matter if you have a satchel, if you have a cart or anything like that. You're going to end up going back to your truck. And so talk with your local management and see if they can extend your footage for how many times you have to go back to that truck. So if you have to go back 5 times for the truck, they should add 5 times the distance for your authorized dismount. So don't be afraid of that. And if they aren't willing to, then your authorized dismount number is going to be through the roof. And if it's through the roof and they're complaining about how many you're doing, that's benchmarking. And you can actually file a grievance on that. There is a set grievance out there. You could talk with your DRs and ADRs. It was sent out a couple of years ago that they can get that paperwork to file a benchmarking grievance on them trying to lower your numbers for your RRECS evaluation.
All right.
We actually have that situation in our office that has 86 dismounts a day.
Wow.
And the post office is like, well, that can't be. Okay, I have 1,204 boxes, delivery addresses. They're all CEUs. And he says, and they're spaced out too, to the point where, there's no way you can't do that. And they said, well, what do you thought? These are the old ones that are just the square units. They're about this damn big. There's 12 of them per cluster box.
Mm-hmm.
So 12 into 1,200 pieces. It's like, folks, you're not going to get out there and carry 2 or 3 of them at a time. So, well, you got to do it by tub. You got to do it by satchel. Every time they tried to turn around and get it, it just doesn't work out. And then he has to turn around and deliver every damn parcel to the door.
Mm-hmm.
But 86 a day.
Wow. All right. Now the next fun one is the unscanned parcel. Use unscanned parcel when an obvious parcel, not a letter or flat, is delivered, and the barcode is missing or completely unreadable. Includes small parcels, boxes delivered to a mailbox or parcel locker. Does not include flats, letters, oversized letters, flats, or catalogs. Do not use if barcode is manually entered when delivered. Yeah.
This is my favorite one.
Oh, we know it is. We know it is. I mean, I've had carrier call me, hey, I used to run the route, that they have now when I was a sub. And with that resident gets her crossword puzzles, Sudoku puzzles. They come and it's a metered mail box. There's no scan. It's metered mail. It's an obvious parcel. Mm-hmm. It's an unscanned parcel. I get stuff for my churches that are unscanned parcels. It's obviously a parcel size. So, this one is, I'm going to say, use your best judgment.
Always carrier discretion.
Yes. Always carrier discretion.
But, I've gone through this. I tried to file a resolution in 2023 at Michigan State Convention. It actually passed up to Michigan State Convention. And we got interrupted on the floor by, at the time, Director of Labor Relations, Bridget Boziak, where she said to vote it down because the union and management are in discussions of what an unscanned parcel is in 2023. Here we are, 2025, still don't have a definition. But what we do have is documentation that specifically states what can and cannot be construed as a parcel. We do not have the definition in the PO 603 anymore. That was deleted with the last contract that we had. That no longer exists or applies. It is just paper in the book right now. We cannot use that. And so the definitions that we have on tap right now are in the parcel cart is one of them. However, use your best judgment. If they're throwing a random flat here and there in there, don't call that an unscanned parcel. But we are required a minimum 1-inch slot casing, and the definition of a parcel is it cannot fit in the case. So if it's wider than 1 inch and it cannot fit in the case without damaging the article, it should be considered an unscanned parcel. But remember, it is carrier discretion. Use your best judgment. And always remember, management has to prove you didn't have the unscanned parcel. You don't have to prove you had an unscanned parcel.
And it does say in writing on this guide, and I will read it again, includes small parcels and boxes delivered to a mailbox or parcel locker. That was another big contention with management. Well, it's not an unscanned parcel if you're putting it in the mailbox. Wrong. Eyeglasses. How many times do we see eyeglass packages that come in that don't have scans? That's a parcel. It's an obvious parcel. something like that as well.
Photos.
Yeah,
Photos, diplomas.
if it's something, yeah, exactly. I don't put, if you have photos and you have a normal to smaller mailbox and I take those to the door, because that is an unscanned parcel. If you have a big mailbox that it fits in, it's a flat. Plain and simple.
If it wouldn't fit in your case, it should be an unscanned parcel per our own paperwork that we have on the union website on the definition of a parcel. So if you're going to bend that photo to put it in your case, it's an unscanned parcel. It doesn't matter the size of the mailbox. What matters is the definitions that we have in the paperwork. So if, like me, I have 6 shelves in my case. So it wouldn't fit in a 6-shelf case without bending it and possibly damaging it. But somebody who has 5 or 4 shelves may be able to fit it in their case. So again, it's carrier discretion.
Yeah, so I mean, it could be, and this was brought up too. I'm gonna say, if you have like a letter or a card that was sent at a parcel rate, so it has a scan code on it. Even the little envelopes for the priority, or I've seen birthday cards come with scans on them, and that barcode is unreadable. For some reason, it got ripped, it got wet, it got smudged, or whatever it is, but it was clear that it had a barcode at one time. You can't enter it in because you can't read it and it doesn't scan, then yes, that would count as an unscannable parcel.
My favorite argument was, when you're at your case, you take a flat and I slide it in because I use the 5-shelf unit. I can slide it in. I can take a letter. I can slide it in. If I can't take this thing and slide it in with the same speed and efficiency that I do a letter or flat, if I have to manipulate that in any fashion, it takes more time than a flat or a letter, then that's an unscanned parcel.
Leaves it at carrier discretion.
Yeah. Does not include flats, letters, oversized letters, flats, or catalogs. U-lines are another big contention on that as well. I'm just going to say this is just what it reads in the black and white. Does not include flats, letters, oversized letters, flats, or catalogs. That if they didn't have a barcode to begin with. Let's put it that way. Because I have seen catalogs come in with barcodes. I have seen letters come in with barcodes. Yeah. All right, we're going to move on from that one.
Talk on that the rest of the night.
Yeah, exactly. We could all argue different points and everything else. And anything with a barcode on it is considered a parcel. So, yeah, I have businesses that get 4 to 5 U-lines at once as well. Carrier pickup. Use carrier PU when performing a carrier pickup or accepting a prepaid parcel over 2 pounds. Enter the total number of parcels containers picked up. Up to 5 parcels may be scanned under the hotkey O for the prepaid acceptance scan. So O is the carrier pickup. You can scan up to 5 under that one. If a manifest 5630 or the MyPO pickup form is present or directed to scan all items accepted, scan the barcodes using the prepaid acceptance on the from the on-street menu, which is letter H. Also, I had a DR tell us, besides the 2 pounds, priority as well as return service. So if it's somebody that's returning something, that's also what I was told by an ADR. But, in black and white, it says 2 pounds or more.
I personally don't recall specifically the number of parcels I have by counting them by hand. So I scan them with the carrier prepaid acceptance to get the number of parcels I have, and then that's the number I input into my carrier pickup. So that way I know I have that many parcels. Plus, it's an accountability thing for me to make sure my customers are getting the best service. All parcels are scanned so they know that they've been picked up by me. And if they're missing one or something like that, they know, hey, he didn't pick that parcel up, so I must not have given it to him, kind of thing.
Also, if you have a scan sheet that the customer prints out because they have multiple packages and so they have them all linked under that one scan sheet to scan them all at once, scan the first 5 under the O, and then you have to go back to the main menu to scan barcode to scan that other sheet. Okay, sales. We're almost done, folks. We're getting there.
Mm-hmm.
Postage due customs, which I can say I honestly have never seen one of these. When collecting or attempting to collect funds for customs duty tax from the customer. Self-explanatory, really. Postage due short paid. Now, these ones we have quite often in our office for some reason. When collecting or attempting to collect funds for a postage due short paid mail from customer, this is not a customs duty tax collection. So somebody didn't pay enough postage, it got through the system, didn't get returned to sender, it comes down now on the person receiving it, and yeah, you put it under the postage due.
There's another one out there too. Those people that ask for address service or change address notifications, you'll get a little card with a picture of the letter that they sent out with the change service requested on it, and it will be like 90 cents that they owe the postal service for that service. That is a postage due short paid. Make sure you're inputting that in the scanner.
Never saw one of those.
We hand them
I've had
to our
2
clerks.
this week. Well, they're supposed to actually be taken to the person that they're going to, and you're supposed to collect that fee for the postage due, and advise the clerks that that is what it's for.
All right, and then rural reach. When engaging a customer to generate a lead for the rural reach program.
We used to get paid for this under the mini mail survey. Everybody got the same credit for it. Now, they want us to input leads into the scanner for the customer with the name, address, phone number, email, all the pertinent information for them to actually reach out and do a sales lead. Now, whether they actually do that or not is up to question. I've heard both sides of it. I have submitted quite a few leads, and I've actually gotten lead returns on them as well. And there is a lead book, Rural Reach booklet out there you can get for the customers, and you can fill out a card that's associated with that booklet so that you can actually get that lead as well. Good luck for a lot of people.
I want to go back to the carrier pickup one real quick, because it happens, but it's not very often. The customer may generate a carrier pickup form for us to go. We get there, there's no packages to pick up. This could be one that's a standing one that they have every day, or it could be maybe they just decided that after they generated that or received it, hey, they were heading into town, they just decided to drop the packages off at the office. We get there, there's no packages, but we have that form. Yes, you're still going to do the carrier pickup. You're just going to enter 0 in for the packages. That just still let us know that we went through to attempt that pickup that we received the sheet for, but you're going to enter in 0 under that carrier pickup.
And make sure you hit no. Either yes or no clears that pickup sheet from your manager's program. I just actually talked about this with my postmaster the other day. Whether you click yes or no, you have done your job with that sheet. Now, if you click no, you have to notate on that sheet why and give it to your manager. So that way they know why. But make sure you do actually select yes or no.
All right, the last one is stamp stock sales. When completing a sale of stamps while servicing the route, use only once per address per day. You sell a stamp, you sell a book of stamps.
You sell a roll.
You sell a roll, you sell postage of any type during your route, use the stamp stock sale.
You're picking up from, say, the Amish, and they give you cash to do the postage. Handling that cash for them is still a stamp stock sale. Mm-hmm. Even if you are going back to the office on your end of shift duties, having the clerk figure out the postage and stuff like that, you aren't paid to bring that postage back, bring the money back, or take the change back to the customer. That is your only way to do that. And if you have to replenish your stamp stock, that is an end of shift duty.
Yep.
Now, what if the Amish pay you in butter or eggs?
And you better have cash on you to pay for what you're getting from them. It takes 2 chickens to mail a quilt.
So that is the RRECS activities guide and scans. Some of them are left up to carrier discretion at this point, but that is the language. Now I am going to say again, any and all of the RRECS information, from the activity guide sheet to the Q&A to everything RRECS related, the comprehensive guide, I think I just said, my mind is gone right now, is all available on the union website, and it's right on the front page. You have RRECS resources, you have RRECS training, it's all right there. If you have management that is bugging you because, well, you could only have 5 minutes, 10 minutes of end of shift duties, nope, that's benchmarking. You have that in writing. All you have to do is get a copy of that and say, nope, this says this. And if they want to argue with it, well, there's another form for that as well.
Mm-hmm. There's always a form for that.
And I do believe there's a template for that form as well for when it comes to benchmarking.
Yes, there is, yeah.
Yes.
What do we say, Bill?
File, 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 and smile.
All right. What I want to talk about, for all you leave replacements, newer, older, however long you've been here, you're a leave replacement. Your duty is to do these scans for every route, every piece of a route that you run. Even if you're taking a split and you're making multiple trips to the door on that split, your scanner's logged into that other route, you're still going to say, I took 3 trips to that door for those 3 mattresses, or whatever it is that it took you 3 trips to deliver to that door. Why I'm saying this is as important as leave replacements and regular carriers alone, but leave replacements too. Number one, for leave replacements that work under 40 hours a week, there are some out there, and there are many that work more. This all calculates for evaluation. You're working under 40 hours, you're getting paid evaluation. That's your pay too. Also, why it's important, if you had somebody that was close to retirement or is close to retirement, and they just don't care, they do the 6 that's required to do, and that's all they do because they know they're getting out of there, well, you know what? You're going to take that route over, and that route may not be evaluated properly because these scans weren't done correctly every day, every time. That's why especially leave replacements, get in the habit of doing it from the day you walk in the door. I know when was out training this week, he took 2 trips to the door for some packages. Every time he came back, I said, all right, now don't forget, we're going to go back under the RRECS, and we're going to hit trip to door, and we're going to enter those in. how many trips you made. Anything like that. Right down to when I'm training, I'm walking them through every single RRECS scan that is applicable that day. So yes, it is very important. This is the route evaluation. You know, some of those routes that may have tanked, maybe because, or keep going down, maybe because a carrier isn't doing it. It could be a route where a carrier is off that route for an extended period of time, so it is a leave replacement that's running that route every day. What's going to happen if that was a carrier who was busting their behind to make sure that their route was evaluated properly, and unfortunately maybe they got hurt on the job and they're out on OWCP and they're waiting to come back, and it may be an extended amount of time to where enough of this, it could be a year, it could be more. And if you're not doing those scans and that carrier comes back and that route dropped because, they got it, treat every route that you run as if it's your own route that you run every day like a regular carrier. I was trained to do that. I took that all the way through. It didn't matter what route I was running that day or what piece of a route on top of a route or on top of a route or whatever. I treated each one of those routes as if that was my very own route, whether that came down to the customer service, guarantee that the RRECS scans were done. That's the part of the job, because as a leave replacement, you're going to be that next carrier to go, you're eventually going to go full-time if that's what you're looking to do. And you want to make sure that you're doing everything correctly from the very first time out. Unfortunately, yes, you can lead a horse to water and you can't make them drink, and I agree, it drives me nuts as well, especially when it comes to this.
And I know leave replacements, the biggest thing they want to do is just go home at the end of the day. And I know that a lot of them are working their backsides off just to get stuff done because we're so short-staffed in so many places. We have offices that don't even have leave replacements, but we have to make sure we're doing everything we can to make sure we are maximizing the money, not only for the regular carriers, but for the leave replacements too. What goes in here goes in here.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. Wish I thought of that.
Well, I had the image, so I had to pull it up, the scanner kind of thing,
And you don't just walk in the door, hit clock, and you don't, as you're walking out, hit the clock in and start load, end load with barely a minute between the two, and you whip them all out, and there's like a 5 minutes difference from clock in to clock out. No, you don't do that. Do it properly. I know there's regular carriers that have done that.
We're going to go over an RCA specific episode coming up.
Mm-hmm.
We need to make sure our RCAs know what's really going on. And just like Made Arbitration has the CCA corner, we want an RCA corner on this podcast. So if you're a RCA that knows a little bit about the job, we're looking for your help.
All right. And leave replacement in general. This will fall under PTFs
leave
as well.
Replacements in general. Yeah.
I will stress, if you are a leave replacement and you are a local steward, we're going to have to say no now. Plain and simple.
Yes.
We will not put you in that position at all to lose that. We want you as a local steward. Plain and simple. If you don't want to come on, but you want to email us some info that you wish you would have learned at the beginning or some good advice, please email us. We'll be happy to share that. We won't mention names, locations.
Oh, I will.
I will not.
You can message any of us if you want to help us and advise us on things that you see as a relief carrier that we may not know about. We appreciate that as well. We're always here to learn.
I'm barely just over a year out of being a leave replacement, so a lot of it is still fairly fresh with me. But at the same time, I have been a regular for just over a year, so some of that does fall away. And that's the one thing, and I tell all of them in my office, if you have any questions about anything, please ask. please ask. You know, and as an RCA, I did experience a lot of things, almost every scenario, not quite everyone, but I was one of those that worked 1 day a week, and I worked 7 days a week. I worked in an office that was fully staffed. I worked in an office where I was the only RCA. So, I've experienced a lot of it, so I have a lot of my own I can put in there, but I want to hear from those that are out there now. Whether it's a fully staffed office, a short staffed office, somebody, hey, I really wish somebody would have taught me this when I first started, or as I was coming up and learning. Or, hey, this is a great piece of advice that could be something totally different that none of us had experienced before. So definitely, that was what I wanted to do in the beginning. When I was still in RCA, I wanted to do more on the RC experience and bring people in, or at least communicate with us when it comes to that, and it kind of fell off the wagon there. But we're bringing that back up, and we'll definitely take all the leave replacements out there that want to assist. Like I said, whether it's by email, direct message, or coming on, as long as you are not a certified local steward or not a newly elected steward waiting for certification. We will not put you in that position at all.
And you don't even have to be on camera either if you're camera shy.
No.
We come on camera because we're not camera shy.
You don't even have to use your real name if you don't want to. We won't,
Yes.
We won't. You don't have to give us your location. It's all that. My biggest thing is I would rather keep you, if you're one of those leave replacements, again, that has stepped up to be a steward in your office, I want you to keep that stewardship. So I will not put you at risk on coming on the air.
Agreed.
Okay. Was there anything else tonight, guys?
No, because I'm getting ready to bail.
Uh-oh, he's getting that old man thing. Got to be in bed by 10.
All right.
This head cold has really whacked me. I got a pile of tissues here that, you see me dive off the screen because I'm sneezing and, it's nasty,
All right, Bill, we'll let you do your closing comments first.
Okay, closing comments. Okay, we got a little bit of weather here in Pennsylvania today. Thankfully, tomorrow's a holiday for y'all, so, may get a chance for a reprieve. The only problem is, in Michigan, the temperatures are not going anywhere. We're looking at a high of 17 and 18 with a feels like average of 10 below. So this stuff is not going anywhere anytime soon. Be safe. Take your time. We just had a carrier in our SCNC, had an accident on a road. Everybody else was traveling fine, but he hit a certain patch and, hey, gone. He's out of work for a while and, he's out on concussion protocol per se. Be safe out there, in this weather. It's not about keeping warm and frostbite and everything else. It's about reading the road surface, giving extra distance and pay attention to the people behind you because they're the ones that always seem to tag you. The guy who's following too close, too fast, without any notification. So drag your feet a little, let them pass you, whatever. But let's say take care of yourselves. I always tell you, and I mean it, you're the most important delivery of the day. Get home to your loved ones. Be safe. James?
Yeah, as Bill said, it's going to get really cold out there. There's a lot of places that the wind chills are going to be super negative. Down up places maybe in 40, 50 below wind chills. The only places that aren't really going to be dealing with this deep cold are California, Hawaii, and Alaska. It's going to be warmer in Alaska than many places down here in the lower 48. So enjoy it, Alaskan carriers. Enjoy it. But take care of yourself. Make sure you're putting everything you can into your scanner that you can back up yourself. You believe you deserve it. put it in the scanner. Because if you don't, you're saying you don't deserve that credit. You don't deserve that extra minute or 30 seconds or whatever that input gives you. You want to make sure you're doing everything you can to maximize your evaluation legitimately. This doesn't mean, oh, I got 5 packs of box holders, I'm going to input it 5 times to get the credit. You only need to input it once. And the other thing is if there's a barcode on that box holder, you scan the barcode to say you're delivering it. It tells the customer you delivered it. It doesn't give you credit if you just scan the barcode. You still need to input it under the RRECS scan. So make sure you're taking care of your evaluations. And if management starts trying to benchmark you or starts trying to tell you, hey, you got to limit your time on office duties or end of shift duties or anything like that, it's benchmarking. You can file a grievance. The only way management stops harassing us for the tasks that we're doing legitimately is if we stand up and show management we're all in this together. Kristen?
Thank you, guys. Yes, definitely. With the cold, I know Tuesday's going to be a long day for me. Tomorrow's going to be a cold one. I'm going to be traveling home. For those of you that are going to be attending SAC coming up soon and want a magnet, keychain, or button for the podcast, I will be meeting up with James tomorrow night, or tomorrow late morning, early afternoon, with the bag of buttons that I happened to grab with me before I left the house. So I'll be meeting up with him to give those to him to take down to SAC with him and anywhere else he may be going as well. I still have a few left with me, but he'll have the bulk of them. So you can get with him outside of the conference floor. Okay? We don't do it while the conference is going. Break time, before, after, not while you're on the conference floor. Plain and simple. Gonna put that out there. So he'll have those for those that want
We
them.
got to be paying attention.
Yes. Find James at SAC for your free goodies. So, on that note, guys, please stay safe out there this week. Take precautions for the cold. Remember, safety is your number one choice. When you leave that office for that route, make that attempt. If you are not feeling safe for whatever reason, that is your call. When you come back to the office, make sure you are filling out a 1767 to CYA, because that's what you got to do to cover your behind. Dress in layers, hand warmers. I just ordered another pair of heated socks. So hopefully those actually arrived at my house today. So I'll have those for Tuesday. But remember, guys, safety is your number one. Dress warm, dress in layers, drive with caution. If it's not safe, that's your call once you hit that street. So on that note, guys, we will be back next week. And what are we going to do next week? Any idea? Or we'll just leave it random?
We'll figure it out during the week.
I got a carrier that's interested in us addressing pregnant carriers and their limited duties.
And I'm going to be at SAC.
Oh, that is next weekend, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So maybe I'll get a opening day in, because they're going through Saturday, Sunday, and Monday at SAC. So I'll have a small report on Sunday for that.
That'll be good. Yeah, James will be at SAC next weekend. So, on that note, and if anybody wants to join him that's there, again, please, no stewards. That's all we ask. And, yeah. But I'm sure, if you ask nicely, he may let you join him to come on and say hi to everybody. Even if it's just pre-show, post-show, whatever. You don't have to be on, but that'd be cool. But on that note, guys...
He's really ticklish underneath his right armpit.
Okay, guys, have a good week. Stay safe out there, stay warm, and we'll be back next week.